My name is Edwin Hubbard Jr. I serve as the Executive Director of the Cleveland branch NAACP. I am a Cleveland native. I grew up just outside of Cleveland in Bedford Heights, Ohio. And my mom, my dad, I have a younger brother, and graduated from Bedford High School, went on to Cleveland State University where I got my degree, and I reside in South Euclid with my wife and two boys. I didn't necessarily have family members that inspired me to pursue this career path. My parents just always told me I was going to college. So I'm a first generation college graduate, and I just knew I wanted to be great at whatever I did. My first initial major was special education, and it ultimately led me to the world of nonprofit, and I've been passionate about nonprofit ever since then, and I've spent my entire career in nonprofit. So the organization nationally has been in existence 115 years, but the Cleveland branch NAACP has been in existence 112 years. So our organization engages the next generation. I think that in the most important way is through civic engagement and by raising awareness of critical issues impacting us not only locally but on a national level. So our premier events are the Freedom Fund Dinner, which yields 900 plus people on an annual basis. We are engaged in Taste of Black Cleveland, which has happened 6 years in a row. Souls to the Pole, which we do in accordance with a lot of other organizations, the D9 and churches and so many other organizations that believe in the importance of raising awareness on voting and actually pushing people to go out and vote. And then so one of our upcoming events to happen is Civically Engaged, which focuses on raising awareness for high school seniors to understand what's at stake and their place in society. What inspired me to become engaged with the Cleveland branch NAACP, I would say myself, like many others, found their first introduction to civil rights and civic engagement through collegiate chapters like the NAACP. It is where we knew what was happening. So I remember when I first got to college and I would see the pamphlet. It was a trifold pamphlet that would be on campus that gave a discounted rate for students to be members of the NAACP. And that's kind of how you found out what was happening. When presidential candidates are running, of course it'd be on the news, but the local NAACP was talking about it. And that's where you knew to go and get engaged. If you wanted to make a difference, at least in a political way and on a community level, you went to the NAACP. And so for me, I was always drawn by that, but then I also knew that there were so many incredible leaders who had been a part of that organization. So I felt like it was my responsibility to be a part of that next generation of leaders who were civically engaged. So the NAACP supports my personal goals by raising awareness. I would tell you that I selfishly do the things that I do because I have two young boys. I have a 9-year-old and I have a 5-year-old. And my ultimate goal is that this world treats them better than the world treats me. And then the next generation after that treats them better than the world has treated my children. So it's about legacy and creating a safe space for my boys. But B, I want them to have the same opportunities all of our counterparts have. I think it's not lost that we know that we still don't live in a world of equality, and I still want to strive towards that. I still want to create an environment where my boys can not only just be equals, but exceptional. And so that is why I care so much about this organization and the work that we do. I think the Cleveland branch NAACP is doing a great job. I think it is moving in the right direction. I think that there's always opportunity for growth. I think you will continue to see our growth as we expand our Freedom Fund programs, as we expand our programs for the community like Civically Engaged, and as we continue to support businesses through Taste of Black Cleveland and so many other programs that we do. I think the number one thing is that you'll see is engagement. We are committed to being engaged with the community. We are committed to being grassroots. We are committed to being accessible and to removing barriers. The legacy of the Cleveland branch NAACP is to remain vigilant and to remain putting people of color in better positions. I think that has been the tireless mission of this organization, is that we want an equality of racial justice, equality in education, and we wanted the same opportunities that all of our white counterparts have had. I think this organization's stance has not changed. I think we still want the same things. And we have shown that we are capable of performing when put in those positions. So I think that the current position of the NAACP is to continue to grow, to continue to make sure that this next generation knows what's at stake if they're not engaged and they're not understanding what's happening, and just to continue to betterment of the community. NAACP, people ask me, is it NAACP or NAACP all the time, in which my reply is, whatever way you can best understand what the organization is and what we do. The National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, they first put a connotation on saying the two A's because the A's are different, right? The Association for the Advancement. Saying NAACP only specifically breaks it down a little bit further in hopes that people understand it. However, being in existence as long as we have, I think sometimes it can be confusing to what the actual organization is. So me personally, I'm not offended when people say NAACP as opposed to NAACP, although, we currently call it NAACP. In addition to people asking me why I still say colored people, because I think the mission and the vision of the organization has not changed for advancing the lives of people of color. So whether you want to call us colored people or BIPOC, Black, Indigenous people of color, it's still the same. The focus is on the minorities and the people who have not traditionally had the opportunities to be in those positions before, where it's still advancing for the most underserved and underrepresented population in this country. That I think it's incredibly important to support the African American Cultural Garden because it belongs in our community. Again, we talked about the NAACP, we talked about the legacy of this organization. And when I'm no longer here and so many other people are no longer here, how will our history be preserved? By having a garden, specifically an African American cultural garden, I think it displays the pride and the history of this great country and the things that African Americans have contributed to it. And I think it deserves to be there. So, I would love to see in my near lifetime that this African American cultural garden be completed so I can bring my children, and that maybe one day my children could bring their children to this place and show it off as something that they have a great deal of pride for.